In line with that news comes news that Scarlet is also en route to Korea, where she will be joining her Axiom Acer teammates, also to compete in the GSTL. GomTV's Team League has begun their preseason play, showing off some really cool Heart of the Swarm show matches. Dan, I know you were watching some of them pretty closely. Violet just getting an all-kill last night. What can you tell us about the GSTL?
GSTL is really cool. It's really it's a good opportunity for to see new talent. But the first two players people are sending, like not the most serious players. Like for example, last night LGIM sent us a guy named Teeble, and I swear he's the exact carbon clone of Lucier. You see his fingers just going like this, like what they say is like a silly spider. But Kev and I were watching the other night, and we saw Aphrodite play against Eve. Kev, how did you like those games?
I loved it, man. Two females, one of them going for a Void Ray all in. Like, you can't make me any happier in the middle of the night. It was a great game, guys.
It was.
Well, I think this is the things RotterdaM's dreams are made of.
Yeah, I know. Dude, I really thought this was not possible, but I saw it. I do think that he has to work a little bit on the Void Ray all in, just details.
It reminds me when I played football, they'd have the second or third string people get on the field and play towards the end of the game, so they'd have that experience on the field of what it's like. And I feel that this helps these players to have that experience of what it's like to actually participate in these tournaments in front of a crowd in the GSTL.
I think they just wanted all the Pro League viewers. They started off with 2 chicks.
I'm giggling over here because I'm thinking about a Roddy tweet from the other day. I'd love to teach you StarCraft.
That was a good tweet, wasn't it?
That's a sick pickup line, bro.
You want to tell that story?
More about that later.
More later? Okay, fair enough.
That works.
Let's jump over to player moves. We've got a couple of them. The first one, and the one that is most noteworthy, Illusion moving to Mouse Sports, the first pickup from Team Mouse in years. Illusion, of course, teamless ever since the initial dissolution of Team Quantic. But he has found a new home in Mouse. It's really exciting for me because Mouse is one of those teams that's been really a mainstay of European StarCraft. And I think Illusion is going to fit in nicely there. It's a little bit strange. He is a North American player, and Mouse is a primarily European team. But Kev, it's an organization you've got some experience working with in the past. How do you feel about Chris's new place that he's calling home?
As you said, it's a little bit weird because he is a North American player, but that really shows that Mouse must have a lot of faith in him. I do know that if Mouse picks up a player, they definitely discuss it within the team. I'm sure that Hazuops had a saying in this as well, as Hazu has been on the team for almost 7 or 8 years now, like literally my entire esports career. When I started in 2005, Hazu was already on Mouse. No joke. So I'm pretty sure that they discussed it within the team. I like their lineup, Ben. It is perhaps not as strong as it once upon a time was when they had Torzen and Moro in good shape as well. But still, if you think about it right now, you have Hazuops, you have Protosa from Finland, who I think is interesting. Curious to see what he's going to do in Heart of the Swarm. And you also have Hero Marine, the little German kid. I expect big things from him in Heart of the Swarm. And now with Chris in the team as well, I think it's awesome, man. I'm excited. And as you said, Mouse is just a really solid organization. They don't mess around. I never hear any bad word from any of the guys who used to be on Mouse. So I think it's awesome, man. I'm happy for Chris.
They've suddenly got a pretty sick Terran lineup right at the release of Heart of the Swarm, which is probably going to be kind of Terran dominated initially. That's interesting.
Of course, they still have Mana as well. I mean,
well,
I don't
Mana
think
is
that's scrub.
Yeah, that candy-eating protein. Mana, of course, the big international star on the team, but I really think they have a very cool and strong lineup. Perhaps not like so much star power, but definitely something that can turn into star power.
More team moves. I guess more team moves around European teams. That's what. Man, this is hard. Speaking of European StarCraft II teams, Fnatic has announced the release of a couple of players. Letting go of Alive and Oz. This is part of Fnatic's move to once again refocus on Europe and to get away from Korea, which really didn't work out so well for them. It is a little bit ironic, though, Kev.
Yeah, I believe that Alive, like one day after he left Fnatic, he went 10-1 in a Korean qualifier for IPL.
And like next week he plays against Life or like Code S. He could like prevent Life from getting a Code S seat by playing that. Like Alive's playing the best StarCraft he has in a while.
I mean, he won IPL 4 back then, but after that it's really been going downhill pretty damn fast. Avalanche fast.
It has indeed. But Fnatic has said they're going to be focusing much harder on the European scene where their roots are. And I've heard rumors of a house maybe in England. We'll see if that comes about in future months.
You know, Ben, in Warcraft 3 times, Fnatic was all about a strong European lineup with an amazing captain. Just saying. Just throwing that out. One of the only few teams who had a full Euro lineup.
I heard stories of a team captain that gave up his salary for his teammates.
That's true too. Very generous guy.
The esports philanthropist.
Oh, it took me a while, but I got there.
I'm the Robin Hood of esports, man.
But you weren't rich at the time. You were stealing from the poor and giving to the more poor.
Okay. Wow, way to talk down on a good thing, Ben.
No, yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
What?
Moving on.
A Korean player, Sculp, has announced his retirement. And the cries of thousands were heard across the world, said no one ever. Who is Sculp? Like, who is this guy? And why is he in our show notes?
Because Sculp is a good player. He used to participate in a lot of Korean weeklies. He even won the IPL5 Asian Regional Satellite. So he qualified for IPL5. That's way better. He won 4 series to advance. That's 4 series that I wouldn't have won, Ben.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the retirement of a StarCraft player
He was
better than Frodan.
He was good. In that case, he better announce every single player in Korea. He also was like part of the team that was really emerging stars like Jokji, San at the time when New Star Hoso was like starting to really like kind of emerge. But then they had like a couple setbacks after Jokji won GSL. So I still think that it's worth mentioning. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's put it this way.
Scope.
Yeah.
If Sculp was
How do you write his nickname?
SCULP. Sculp.
if Sculp was a non-Korean, we would all be very sad.
We would have lost that biggest
Right. The
star.
foreigner bias would have came out right there. Like,
Oh no!
The best non-Korean player in the world is
Starcraft
retiring.
is dying, guys.
Wish him the best of luck all the same, though.
okay.
Speaking of great players entering retirement bit by bit,
Oh no.
the original SCV All-Inner has hung up his 2-Rax shoes and will no longer be pulling all them workers and dropping mules until the GG gets called. Begs the question, what is Tasteless going to say the next time he sees a 2-Rax All-In, and how does Nama feel now that he is the strongest SCV trainer of them all?
Nama is going to feel very pleased. You know, Nama actually played a tournament just yesterday, and he lost 3-4 against Belmo.
Assembly, right?
Finnish Assembly. Lost 3-4. I would really love to see the games because I cannot wait to see all the SCVs.
Was it Heart of the Swarm?
Wings, I believe.
Okay. You think Nama's still going to be pulling SCVs and HOTS?
Yes, even more.
He's going to be pulling SCVs and having them killed by his own Widow Mines, I bet. All right, guys. That's it for player moves. We are going to move into a very short break, but when we get back, we're going to be talking Heart of the Swarm. Blizzard's been making a lot of changes. Release is, of course, looming just over 2 weeks away. And we do want to ask the question, what do you think is the strongest race in beta right now? Lauren Elise, why don't you walk us through it?
All right, guys, it is that time to cast your votes in chat. What do you think the most powerful race in Haas is at the moment? Protoss, Zerg, or Terran? Vote A, B, C, or D right now, and we'll have the answer when we get back.
Thanks a lot, Lauren Elise. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll be back with Heart of the Swarm discussion.
Vote Terran.
Man,
Why would you want
it's hard to
Terran?
say.